wanted to start off by doing a little reading update. I finished We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson, and I've got to say, I did not really like this. The reason why I picked this up is because I wanted to have like a spooky read, and Shirley Jackson, of course, is perfect for that. I also had finished The Lottery, which is one of her short stories. I actually think I have it here. This illustration goes with the short story. And fun fact, The Lottery was one of Shirley Jackson's most popular pieces of writing. And the reason for that is because it was published in The New Yorker as a short piece, but at the time they didn't distinguish between fiction and nonfiction. So a lot of the readers were writing in asking, is this real? Where is this ritual happening? What's going on? And it very much shocked and traumatized a lot of people, including myself. And I think that that's just a testament to how great this writing was. But I think this one, I don't know, it was kind of a letdown. Maybe my expectations were too high. But this follows the Blackwood family, Mary Catherine and Constance. Mary Cat, she's the younger sister. And they have this very interesting relationship. They're very codependent. And you can definitely see that Mary Cat is kind of the one that's in control, even though Constance is the older one. But something that is very mysterious about this family is that about 6 years before, pretty much their whole family was murdered, poisoned specifically, and it is speculated that it was done intentionally by one of the sisters and they were in on it, but in the end it was deemed an accident. A lot of people in the town do not like the sisters, they're outcasts, a lot of people make fun of them and try to intrude into their home, which they very much have blocked off. They don't like anyone to come in, they rarely go out only when they have to. And then a series of events happen, their relative comes to visit, and the whole time I just wanted to know why. Why was their family murdered? And you kind of get bits and pieces of what happened, and also you learn who specifically did it. Like, you could kind of suspect, but it was kind of shocking, and it was only like, I think a paragraph, or maybe a few sentences, and then it was just done, which I think was kind of disappointing. So, I don't know. The end was also very boring, I guess. I do like Shirley Jackson's writing, though. I just don't think this one was for me. I picked up a couple of Christmas related things, so I thought I would share. This first is a pajama set. I got this from Gap. I've never gotten their pajama sets before, but I thought that it was a great deal because they were doing like 40% off. And this one is a candy cane theme with red detailing. I really like it. This is a flannel material, so it's a bit thicker. I'm not sure if I'm actually going to sleep in these. It might be more for lounging. My other pajamas that I have are all a lighter cotton or like a cotton modal mix, so I sleep in those, but these will be more for around the house. And then I got these both in a small petite or the small petite set because I'm quite short, like 5'3", and Gap has petite sizing, which it's the perfect length. So if you're on the shorter side, I would definitely recommend sizing to a petite. And then this next thing is so adorable. I got this set of little penguin stockings, and I thought that these are maybe gift card holders because they're at the front of Barnes & Nobles where they have gift cards, like little knickknacks, and you could definitely fit a gift card in here, but I'm gonna use it as decoration. So I might put some ribbon on each of these loops and then hang them like on my bookshelf or maybe downstairs in my living room. I just thought they were so adorable. That's what I got. I actually think I'm gonna eat dinner really quickly and then I'm gonna head to Home Goods or like one of those stores to look at Christmas decorations because I went like the first week of November. I think it was like November 3rd or like that first weekend, and they didn't really have a lot of Christmas stuff yet. They had Halloween things that they were putting on sale and then still like fall Thanksgiving items, which I mean, Thanksgiving makes sense. It's not even Thanksgiving yet, but I think that they'll definitely have more Christmas stuff today, I'm hoping. So I'm gonna go look around, see what they have going on. I'm at the used bookstore and they have a lot of good vintage copies in this section. 1985. This is The Wizard of Oz. Oh, they also have Wuthering Heights. I think this is gonna be a movie. Oh, there's another one. Oh, Fahrenheit 451. I've read this before. I tried to read it again, but I did not finish. Oh, this one. Oh, another. Oh, this is the cover that I'm used to seeing. I have have Jane Austen. I've never read anything by her. My cousin loves this book, and I know a lot of people do, but I don't know. I have The Fire Next Time. This is $10. I don't know if that's worth it. I'm still looking for number 6 and 11 for my collection, but I don't see it. They have 6. Actually, there's one here, but this is paperback. It's not hardback. I want it to be like this. I did find this edition. These are kind of different. I think these might be newer. And then I also found this one. This is definitely new because it says it's a Netflix series. I think these hardback ones are the best though. I guess I will look again next time. It's 2:30 in the morning. Oh my god! Beautiful. Since there's only 2 more months left of 2025, I've been thinking a lot about what books I want to read for the rest of the year, and I'm actually very happy. I've been thinking a lot about all the books that I read this past year, and I read a lot. I read a lot more than I have in past years combined, which I think is crazy, and I've just fallen in love with reading, so I don't know, that just makes me really happy, but I do still want to get a few more books in. I have some ideas of what I want to read. They're like shorter novels and then another project book. My previous project book was The Brothers Karamazov, and then before that was Crime and Punishment. And a project book is essentially a big book, a longer book, something that might be a bit more dense in the content as well. It requires you to take a bit more time to process and get through it. So I think I'm going to take a break though. After reading The Brothers Karamazov, I feel like I need to kind of switch things up, and then maybe in a couple weeks or so, I'll start my next project book, which is also by Dostoevsky. I know, but I think this one's going to be good. I hope. I mean, at least based off of what I've read. So I'm going to show you some of the books that I have in mind. First, the picture of Dorian Gray. I think this might be on the top of my list because I don't know why, I've seen this a lot on my feed recently, and this book is about Dorian Gray. He is obsessed with the way he looks and his beauty and vanity, and it talks about how he sells his soul essentially to maintain that. I also have something a little different. This is George Saunders' A Swim in the Pond in the Rain, and this is actually a masterclass. So this breaks down several short stories by Russian writers such as Chekhov, Turgenev, Tolstoy, and Gogol, not Dostoevsky, but it gets into the mind of a writer and gets in their minds of what they were intending with their writing and how to be a more critical reader, which I think is very important. And I think especially through reading Dostoevsky and getting into Russian literature, there are some things that I've noticed, like when I first started reading Crime and Punishment, for example, or like my first introduction to Russian literature, there's so many things that just completely went over my head. And I knew that it was going over my head, but I feel like with this, it'll kind of help me be more aware and almost build this skill, which I think is really important. So I thought that I would try something a little different and read this. My husband also read this and he said it was very helpful. Lastly, a couple random ones. I don't know if I'll actually get to these. I have The Door by Magda Szabo. I tried Magda Szabo's earlier this summer or spring, and I DNF'd it because I didn't really like it. But this story seems more up my alley. There's a bit of an unsettling undertone. It's about Emerence and Magda, and Emerence is a housekeeper, but she's keeps to herself, and I think they kind of develop this very weird relationship. That's all I really have to say. I also have Clarissa Spector. I'm not sure if I'll really get along with her writing style because I feel like her writing is more of a stream of consciousness based off of a few excerpts that I've read so far and what I've heard, but I'm willing to give her a try. And then lastly, my project book is going to be The Idiot. And I decided on this one because I think with demons, it seems like it's a bit more dark and it requires a bit more research up front. And I just don't think that I'm ready for it. But I think The Idiot would be a nice switch up, especially because the main character is a little different from the brothers Karamazov or Crime and Punishment. Prince Mishkin, the protagonist here, is a very kind-hearted, good person. Whereas in a lot of Dostoevsky's other stories, it kind of focuses more. I don't remember where I left off because my camera died. Sorry about that. But I was saying that this seems a little different because the main character, Prince Mishkin, he is a very kind-hearted and Christ-like figure, and that leads to a lot of people taking advantage of him. And I think that that's a little different from maybe Crime and Punishment of the Brothers. Those are the only two I can really speak to because in those books, it really focuses on evil and sinful nature and a lot of the characters having those qualities. And it says here, Dostoevsky portrays the purity of a truly beautiful soul and explores the perils that innocence and goodness face in a corrupt world. So that really drew me in. Like I said, I probably won't start this anytime soon. I'm thinking maybe around Thanksgiving time. And then I'll probably finish this maybe early next year. Today I have a day to myself, so I'm going to go book shopping, a coffee shop, and then also go look at some sweaters. I'm looking for a wool or cashmere sweater. In terms of books, I'm not really looking for anything for myself because I've been reading a lot of longer books, and realistically, I'm probably not going to read anything in the next month. Unless I find something that kind of changes my mind. But I am looking for a gift for my husband because he was reading, here it is, Don Quixote, and he DNF'd it because he said he just really couldn't get into it. He tried and got pretty far, actually. I don't remember where he left off, but he did want to read The Count of Monte Cristo, so I thought that I would try to find that for him and give it to him as a gift, but it's also kind of a gift to myself because then I can read it too. So that is the plan. I'm hoping it's not too busy and I don't have to fight for parking, but we shall see. I'm having a little snack in bed. I have strawberries and Nutella. But I did want to share an update on my reading because if you remember, I was trying to read Notes from Underground and then I paused because I just found it very hard to read, and then I switched to some other books and I'm finally going back to it because I left off like halfway through and I felt like it was just a waste because it's such a short book, and I do want to read a lot of Dostoevsky's work, if not all of them. So I decided to pick it up again. I switched to this version, or this translation. This is by Ralph E. Matlaw. I've never heard of his translations before. I do really like the cover of this a lot better. But I think, I don't know, I have mixed feelings about the Richard Pevere, I just hit myself, the Richard Pevere translation and Larissa Volanonsky. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong. I think it's just not as easy to read. It might be more true to the Russian text and the original language, but I think for me, this translation is closer to modern American English. And so I think that has definitely helped, but I will say, even though the translation helps a little bit, this story is just not for me. So there are a couple things, because this whole story is basically from the perspective of the protagonist. You're in his mind, the underground man, there he is, and he is quite an unlikable character, a bad person, I would say, and quite insufferable. And he's just complaining most of the time and going on this philosophical rant, this long philosophical rant. And typically I tend to enjoy Dostoevsky's philosophical rants. There is characters and I can tolerate it pretty well, but I think that's only the case in his longer novels like Crime and Punishment or The Brothers Karamazov, because you get breaks in between. This one, I feel like I'm sprinting. I feel like I'm out of breath and I feel exhausted, if I'm being quite honest. I can actually relate to the underground man quite a bit though, and I think a lot of other people have said that. Even though he is a terrible character, he is quite honest and very raw, which I think sometimes it's kind of like a reflection of ourselves in him. But I don't know. I will let you know. I have 15 pages left, so I'm going to try to finish it tonight, and if I don't finish it tonight, definitely in the next day or so, and I will come back with my final thoughts. I thought I was recording this whole time. Anyways, I have an update. I finished my cardigan. This is what it looks like. It honestly turned out perfect in terms of size, but the actual cardigan I don't like. And that's because first I used a very light cream colored yarn, which I wanted this color, but when you look at it against my skin, you can see that the messed up stitches and the wonkiness is just emphasized. And then also, I have to wear a t-shirt underneath, which I'm fine with, but it doesn't match. And because the neckline is kind of wide, you'll always see this part of my t-shirt. And that kind of, I don't know, it just bothers me. And I just didn't do a great job. I don't know. I thought it was gonna be, I had this picture of what it was gonna be, and it's not that. So I'm kind of bummed. But now I know. I also, this yarn, it's just too flimsy. Like, it doesn't have that nice, cozy, thick structure that I wanted. I don't know why I thought this would give it, because I've used this yarn before, but now I'm not. But I did start a new project, so I'm knitting the Lakes pullover with my yarn from Canada, and it looks like this right now. If you can imagine, here you have the shoulders, and then I'm working on the back. This has saddle shoulders, which I really like because it has that nice drop shoulder and it's a nice detail. So I'm gonna try to make more progress on this weekend. I'm hoping that this will turn out better. I do like it so far, like way better. I think this is just more of what I'm looking for and it looks neater. The blow yarn is just kind of hard to work with. So this is my WIP, or work in progress.